Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how are we doing?
Metcalf, I'm doing good. Pretty excited for this episode. I'm counting down the days. I'm officially at the point of the year where I am counting down
Time
the
is
days.
crawling.
Yeah, time is crawling. It's slow. It also is at that annoying point where it's like it's just around the corner of being like we're really getting close. So I'm hanging in there, just breathing, staying alive. How about you, Metcalf? How's the week going? How are we holding up?
Fantastic. My Detroit Lions look incredible. Mike Tirico can take that asterisk and put it where the sun don't shine. That's a hell of a win. How dare he? Excited for football this week. Excited for basketball to get back. It needs to get back. We're now really in the doldrums of nothing really going on. Now that FIBA's over, we need something. So at least we got football. We got baseball playoffs coming up soon. But more importantly, I'm really excited for this episode. And we're going to talk about three big men who have a ton of hype coming into the season, have a lot of really high expectations. We saw one last year. We've already seen a couple games of one this year. And then, we're a little familiar with another one through some FIBA play and international play over the past couple of years. But before we dive into those, just some quick housekeeping up front instead of the end of the episode while I have all of your attention. So if you're not subscribed to all of our written work, it's 100% free over at noceilingsnba.com. The fact that we've continued to see free and paid subscribers continue to rise in the off season is absolutely incredible. So if you like what we do on the podcast, please drop us a rating and a review. Those have also been coming through in the off season. All of you are incredible. Go subscribe over at noceilingsnba.com. We've got some really fun stuff coming up for this season for the paid subscribers, but the free daily stuff Monday through Friday isn't changing at all. So if you can't afford it, totally fine. Just hit that free subscription and help us continue to build this really awesome No Ceilings community that continues to grow. You can follow us across all socials at No Ceilings NBA and on YouTube at No Ceilings TV, where we have a bunch of really fun stuff as well. But Rucker, enough of that. Let's get into these guys. I think we kind of got to start with the reigning national champions and their centerpiece, their 7'2", 280-pound big man, Donovan Clingan.
I'm pumped out of my mind to talk some Donovan Clingan. I know I usually say that, but it does not take long when you start watching the old film from last year to really get excited about Clingan. And me and you were pretty passionate during last year's draft cycle when people thought Clingan could be like a sneaky lottery guy. And I think we weren't really against his upside, but we were like, let's give him one more year and he's going to be a top 10 pick. Like, yeah. Let's see what he can do with extended minutes and being the guy. He was backing up Sanogo last year, and man, it does not take long on tape to start being like, there's a really fun potential weapon here. And he's kind of almost a throwback big just in his pure size and kind of the ability to just completely take over with his strength, his presence. But I think it's not just the size. Like, he does a ton on the basketball court. And I think every time I've watched him, I've been impressed with how much he can move, how quick he can be. Like, his agility really pops to me. And he's just impactful everywhere. And I think he's in rumors are he's going to be having a big year. And I think everyone's pumped for it. If he's really stretching the floor, like we've seen preseason reports about, this is a fun one. This is one that could really get up there. It would not shock me if he's one of the top bigs in this class, Metcalf.
Yeah. And last year we were a little cooler, not because we didn't like what he did.
Right.
It was just, is there more to his game? Is there more that he can show, or is this it? And if you're going to take a guy like that in the top 10, top 15, shout out to KOC and Sam Vecini and plenty of others who were kind of pushing for that, where there's like, this guy's a lottery talent. Like, he should go out this year. I think he could be a top 5 pick going back this year. I think, and when you look at his minute share and his production and everything last year, it was so simplified and it was so basic. It was just be a monster on the boards, be a monster rim protector, and just be this awesome play finisher. And that's what he did. On Bartorvik, he was one of 11 freshmen since 2008 to have a block percentage or a block rate over 14. His was 14.4. He was also one of 5 players since 2008 to have an offensive rebounding rate over 20 and a defensive rebounding rate over 25. His were 20 and 29.6 respectively. The other players to do that were Zach Edey twice, DeJuan Blair, and Kenneth Faried. When you combine all of those, the rebounding rates and the block percentage, he's the only player to have done those. That's incredibly impressive. And then you look at his minute share, and it was 32% of the minutes. So that's where it's like, okay, how much of this is real? Can he extrapolate that in, across a much bigger minute share? And you look at Adama Sanogo's minute share last year, he had 66%. I would anticipate that we see Clingan up around that mark, if not even higher this year. And our only question last year was, given that bigger role, can you still be that productive?
I also love their team this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough when you lose a couple big pieces like Jordan Hawkins and Sanogo to the next level, but I really like their roster. And I think, Clingan is going to have a potential unbelievable running mate in Stephon Castle. Like the pick and roll potential they have is ridiculous. But I think the most intriguing part of watching Clingan's game when you go back and look is how many times in different areas he just stands out. Like before we even hit record, I was like, man, his playmaking is jaw-dropping to me. Like there is some stuff that I think he only had about like 18 assists last year, but it's like there's a couple plays where you don't see 7'2", 265-pound guys move like that and have the vision and quick analysis to navigate the floor and understand where the ball is supposed to go. I just think everything's lining up for this is like the red carpet for Clingan this year to really get up there. And I don't think you're crazy about the top 5 result, because I think if he showcases he can do this in heavier minutes and be a versatile piece, absolutely every team's going to be loving him. He's going to be an analytics darling because of how impactful he was last year. There's just a lot of stuff going the right direction for him. And I'm excited about him. I really am. Like, this is one of those names that's really got me in my feelings lately, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. And I think when we think about him expanding that role and, probably at least doubling his minute share to what it was last year, the big questions, I don't think there are really any on defense besides conditioning, but over the way he's kind of transformed his body over the last couple of years, I don't really have any concerns about that. I think the big question is, what is he on offense and how much more does that role expand? Or is he just going to be that kind of play finisher that he was last year? He's super effective at that. He had an effective field goal rate over 65%. But 90.5% of his shot attempts were a dunk or layup, and he only took 2 jumpers all season. He also averaged 1.9 fouls per game. But when you kind of expand that to 40 minutes, that's 5.7 fouls. So there are concerns about how that shift in minute share, that shift in workload, that shift in responsibilities is going to work. But when you talk about the playmaking, when you just look at the numbers, it doesn't really make sense because he had an assist rate of 7.5. It's like, okay, that's absolutely nothing. But I think that speaks more so to what his role was than what he's capable of.
I mean, the fact that everyone was buzzing about him in such a limited role just goes to show you the amount of excitement people, evaluators, scouts have for his potential this year. And, we listed earlier, or Metcalf listed earlier, he's at 280 right now. He was 265 last year, and he was mobile and a big dude. So like putting on 15, potentially adding the 3-point shot. And I'm not saying he's going to go out and shoot 4 or 5 threes a game. I don't think that's his game. But if he goes out and hits 1 or 2, all of a sudden you're like, what the heck? Like, okay, now like this is another part of his game. And there's just flashes everywhere. I mean, I wrote down in my notes when I'm scouting him and watching his games, like he understands when to use his strength and he understands of when he can get somewhere in a hurry with his agility. And I think that's a really important thing with the big man, of like being able to level out where you can create an advantage. And I think that's what makes Clingan special. Like, he can bulldoze you because he knows I'm bigger than you. He's going to have that luxury for a long time in his basketball career, but he also understands where, okay, I might have set you up with my strength last time. Now I'm going to blow by you real quick and try to finish with some touch. And I think obviously, like, guys like that, you just get around the basket and they're a nightmare because they can just finish over you with power. And he has some plays where he's sprinting up the court and throwing down oops. And you're like, this dude's almost 300 pounds. He can't move like this. Like, it's just awesome. Like, he's got potential to be a heck of a piece if everything goes right this year.
Yeah. So let's kind of put our prediction hat on and think first just exclusively about what his offensive role could be. Last year, 90.6% of all of his shot attempts are a layup or dunk. I don't really expect that number to change a whole lot, but I do expect the 2 jump shots that he took last year to take hopefully a substantial leap, not to the point where he's jacking up threes willy-nilly, but, a couple pick and pops a game, a trailer 3 here or there. But then when you think about the shooting that's around him with Cam Spencer, Alex Caravan, Stephen Castle, Tristan Newton, the spacing on this team is going to be incredible. So it's like, do you really even want to take someone that big who's so good at establishing position, especially when he gets a screen or gets a switch on him? Do you really even want to take him out of the post, or do you want to just kind of feed him on the block, feed him on the roll, and then let him make the right decision, whether it's finish through someone at the rim or make those kick out passes when they collapse on you to 2 of the best off-ball shooters in the country in Cam Spencer and Alex Caravan?
I mean, I think I would just lean towards like, oh, he's going to be a roll man nightmare. And maybe, obviously it's a limited sample from last year. So everyone might be pointing at synergy numbers and stuff. And I'm going to be like, well, we can almost throw those out because now it's going to be just heavy minutes. So like, yes, a lot of stuff was impressive in limited minutes last year, but now it's just going to be like, oh, it's going to be another world. And we're going to see what actually, levels out when it comes to more reps, more numbers, more data. But I think, it's tough to project like, oh, well, he's going to be the classic you feed in the post, because it's just a lot of teams don't do that much often. But I think with him, you almost want, like, I want him to be a playmaker. He has the potential to be a very dangerous, like, roll man, understand where the ball should go, hit spot up shooters, should love to play with him, because you're putting Clingan and Castle on a pick and roll. Then you got to worry about Castle because of his versatility, his vision. Then he can hit Clingan, and then he can find shooters all over. So it's almost like if you don't guard Clingan, you got this 7'2", 280 guy that can move coming down the middle of the lane. So it's like, pick your poison. And I just, the flashes I saw passing, like, there's something there. There is really something there. What about you, Metcalf? Like, would you go the same way? Or is it, I feel like you're onto something with like, oh, he might take a couple trailing threes, in which you're just like, oh gosh, what do we do with this offense now? Like, how do we stop these guys? Where are you at?
Yeah, and I kind of hope that we see a little bit of a similar development to what we saw from Sonogo last year with the shot and the floater.
Yes.
Where I had kind of written him off entirely as, a potential NBA guy going into the season, because I was like, okay, he has 0 touch and he can't shoot. And then first game, he hits like 2 or 3 pick and pop or trailer threes in a row. I'm like, what in the world is happening over there? So if reports that are coming out of the UConn camp are that Clingan's starting to do that stuff, that just makes him absolutely terrifying, because he's going to be so difficult to defend in the pick and roll. We've mentioned the passing a handful of times now, but let's actually kind of run through some of the examples that we're actually talking about. So I'm just really good and perfectly accurate. Great read on the weak side. Walk me through this.
I mean, this one just gets me pumped out of my mind. Like, tight window off of the roll, making the attack right there, and then just a quick analysis to be like, okay, read the defense, where's the ball supposed to go? Like, that's the type of stuff that just gets me pumped, because like to have the athleticism and mobility to make this play of like, I'll drive. And then how many times do we see 7'2", 260 plus guys like get up in the air to throw jump passes off a drive? Like you just don't see it that much, but I love the recognition. Like when he catches that pass on the roll, his eyes are locked trying to read the help defense. So like right now he's probably like, oh, I should throw this corner, but he reads 23 on Iona is going to slip down. You go like another right there. And it's just great analysis of, oh, I see where he's going. The high risk pass is to the corner, and I've got someone wide open on that wing. I think it showcases you like the quick analysis, the quick decision-making that he can have. It's just beautiful to me. I mean, that play, when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a rewind play. Like you got to watch that 20 times because it's just a lot of really impressive stuff. Quick.
Yeah.
You know,
and you can tell like right here when he catches it, he's immediately reading Walter Clayton coming from the weak side. And you can tell that he's like, oh, I'm going to go dunk this.
Yes.
And then he kind of realizes how quickly Clayton gets there, does a really good job of kind of managing his momentum by really firmly planting that left foot and using the jump off to the side. But then he has the freakish strength to that's a perfect pass to Caravan. So yes, initially he was reading that, the weak side corner with Joey Calcaterra down there, but perfectly reads, like you said, the help defender collapsing to the corner and just kicks it to the best shooter on the team, arguably. And it's just the accuracy, the way he was able to just immediately process all those different moving parts. Really, really impressive stuff.
And I think a lot of people would say like, hey, are you passing up a potential poster opportunity? But I think it's an important.
I think it would be a charge.
Yeah. And some maturity right there is you're passing up a good shot for a better shot.
Yeah.
Like you hit a teammate on the money for a wide open three. Like I love that decision. I think it's just being able to analyze that quickly, multiple choices. It's like a quarterback going through reads. Like you understood where it should go. This is another great one right there. Go ahead, Metcalf, take it.
No, this is just kind of the playmaking versatility that we're hoping to see from him, where that previous clip was some of the stuff that he can do out of the short roll. Here, it's like, okay, you want to throw a bunch of shooters out there, space the floor, let them go one-on-one in the post. We can do that. And then if you want to go down and double, cool. He has the vision and passing accuracy to punish you, where now he has a 2-on-1 on the weak side. And, just perfect pass to Jordan Hawkins for the open three. Now, instead, you think about this year, they're not going to have a guy like Andre Jackson, who's probably going to be setting that screen. Instead, it's probably going to be Cam Spencer and Alex Caravan and, Tristan Newton probably up at the top on this weak side. So instead, one's in the corner, one's up on the wing, similar to the setup in the previous clip. But it's the same kind of similar read where it's, okay, where's the defender going? I'm just going to find the open man and make it easy. It's just plain simple basketball.
But the funny thing about this too, and I know, like, that's Khalil Ware going up against Clingan. That's another 7-footer. But because of Clingan's size, like, not many people, Edie's probably going to be the only one that can just match him with his pure strength. And he's going to, if he has this in his game all the time, like if we look at the end of the year and we're like, Clingan's one of the best passing big men in the NBA. I mean, in college basketball, like in this draft class, that is going to be such a weapon, even at the NBA level. Like people might be like, well, the old school big man's a dying breed. It's like, well, if you can pass like this, I'm not saying he's there, but like Jokic, his passing makes him such an unbelievable asset to have. If you're a big man that could be this type of weapon as a passer. And then we haven't even talked about his ability to get up the court. He can finish. He's got some touch, like just a lot of boxes that are checking for me. So I think the playmaking is a really pleasant, like, here we go. Unlock this.
All right, let's jump into some of the defensive stuff where he was just a force last year. His rim protection numbers were absurd. I just really love this one where he just stays patient the entire time, really disciplined. It's nothing overtly flashy, but the way he kind of just stays connected, continues to drop, knows where Castleton is, doesn't bite on the pump fake, but keeps that guy there. And he knows that his teammate, is still right on the hip, so he doesn't have to fully commit, allows him to just get back to Castleton with ease as the play kind of develops. Now he sees his teammate get, now he's on the backside and he's gotten beat off the dribble. So now he has to commit, swats it.
We're going to talk about a couple guys in this episode for everyone joining us. And Aday Mara is going to be another one that I'm excited we picked this trio because of the similarities height-wise and with Clingan and Mara. But I think the biggest thing that stands out to me with Clingan is he doesn't move like he's that big. Like no. He has good feet. He stays active. I mention it a lot of times where it comes to like cement feet. And what I mean by that sometimes is like, if you're a big man and you just stand there without adjusting your feet, like then your feet are almost quick drying to become just heavier. And I like when bigs keep their feet moving. So it's like if they need to get somewhere, they're already active. Mm-hmm. And that's something that stands out to me with Clingan. Like you see in this play a lot. He's shuffling his feet. He's constantly trying to move, adjust his positioning. He doesn't get too caught up. And I just think the activity and timing and anticipation is just really impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, and you talk about the footwork, he's another good one with Castleton, just stays on balance, stays disciplined, stays vertical to affect the shot. He knows he doesn't have to swat everything. Castleton was torching guys at Summer League with this little rip through move and just good stride length, not super low in his stance, but he's 7'2", 280 pounds. So how low can you really expect the guy to be? But great balance, doesn't bite on the fake, and keeps Castleton outside the lane.
Some of my favorite stuff about like defensive impactful bigs is when they realize like I don't have to block every shot.
Yeah.
Like I can make life miserable without trying to get a block. And I think it's a great play here to stay down on someone like Castleton, who just had a great summer league with the Lakers. Like you could see how skilled Castleton is. So I love a big man keeping his hands up there on that slide too, like getting them out, trying to be impactful. Just a lot of stuff, Metcalf. I feel like you're going to be in your feelings defensively about him. I mean, that's just,
it's all of it's just super fundamentally sound. And I know first reaction here is, all right, big guy gets torched by the little guy and, gets lucky on the block. But this is really calculated by Clingan where it's like, okay, I'm not going to panic once he gets by me, but I'm going to put myself in a position where I can still use my size and length to stay attached. I mean, he's right on his back there and puts himself in a position where even though the ball handler is in front of him, that ball's his 99 times out of 100.
It's a great read. I think people would try to overreact to that of like, oh, that's a blow by. Like, no, that's exactly what the big wants.
Yeah.
It is inviting someone to the dinner party right there. Like
it's
right here.
Like they're very different rim protectors, but it's kind of some of the similar stuff that we saw from Chet at Gonzaga, where he just kind of ushered people to where he wanted them to go so he could affect their shot basically no matter what, whenever he was around the rim.
I mean, we got to give a shout out to we're live on YouTube right now. Someone just said a little Marcus Gasol vibes, and I was like, that's a good one for sure. Like knowing and understanding your limitations and understanding also where you can be a play ahead, and that is really rare. And like you brought up Chet, like that was something that stood out with Chet. Now Clingan's not going to have that mobility.
No,
that Chet had,
I'm not comparing.
No. I'm just saying, but you're in the right mindset of like, if you can be a play ahead, you can make life easier for you. And I think this is strategic of, we always get fascinated. Like I do too. Sometimes like we get fascinated if a big guy gets blown by, and it's like, sometimes they want you to blow by them if you're going to try to attempt, because they have the length to recover on you, which is Clingan's going to have that. So, I just
and just
simple plays. So
go
ahead, Metcalf.
No, just last thing on this clip. When the guard really makes his attack, just watch his footwork and how seamless it is. And he doesn't cross his feet. He doesn't panic. He doesn't quickly flip his hips, but he flips them quick enough to where he can be in position to then recover on that. He's just, what impresses me so much with him is that he's always on balance and just rarely feels rushed when he's defending.
I mean, he even had a step there where he was getting ready to defend the jumper.
Yeah.
And then he flipped the hips, which is even more impressive. Like the feet technician. I really, really like it.
Okay. Anything else on Clingan, or do you want to move on?
No, we can move on. I mean, there's just times, and I'm sure we'll have some future stuff on him, but there's just times where he moves around the court, even in transition, where I'm just like, you're not supposed to move like that. They're just throwing up like he's going up for lobs, and you're just like, my goodness, he's going to break the backboard. So no, I'm a big fan. I think it's going to be a very fun year if he starts out the year aggressively and has a couple big games. We're going to get in a dangerous conversation, but I think he's a preseason top 10 guy for a lot of people. I think it would not shock me if he's one of those that just keeps finding a way to creep up some boards.
I entirely agree. I think he's in for a monster year. Let's move on to Aday Mara, 7'3" center, 240 pounds, from Spain, played for Zaragoza last year. Has been a prominent feature on Spain's U16, U18 teams. I should probably mention that he's headed to UCLA this year. Kind of an important factor in talking about him. Where do you want to start with Mara?
I want you to start out because I feel like I've been trying to bug you to watch some people for months, and you always like tiptoe around it. And then I feel like I finally got the text from you of like, okay, I'm watching Mara. And I was like, about time. So I'm really excited. We didn't talk about him too much before we hit record. So I'm really excited to see, to hear where you're at. So give me some thoughts, give me some feedback. The people want to hear if we're getting angry Metcalf or polite Metcalf today.
Polite.
Okay, good. Wow. Progress.
I'm intrigued. I'm less excited than I was a month ago. And that's no fault of his. He hasn't done anything differently. I've just caught up on some stuff. But you and I both really liked him in U16s last year. He looked really good in U18s this year. The offensive creativity with him is really astounding, and the way he sees different angles on the floor with his passing, his confidence passing, arguably the best big man passer in this draft class.
Yes.
I know we just went on a rant about Clingan and his upside there. That still holds. There's a different level to what Mara can do, is willing to do, has done, all of that stuff. It's really creative stuff. It's Şengün-esque stuff creativity that he's doing out there. There's some promise with him being a floor spacer, but he didn't really shoot a whole lot from outside. I think it looks okay, but it's not great. I don't think the free throw numbers were anything to get super pumped about either. The defense was really hit or miss, where there are some flashes in the pick and roll where he's, flipping his hips, he's sliding his feet, he's looking good. And then others that are just a fundamental nightmare where he's looking all of his 7'3" and upright in his stance with a narrow base. And then the physicality. It's when, complete inverse of Clingan, where when Clingan's on the floor, we're watching him. We see him constantly making an impact. We can almost feel him when he throws his butt into a defender. I never got that sense with Mara.
Mara is, if you watch highlights of Mara, you're going to be like, holy crap. Like the playmaking is his bread and butter. He is a very creative passer. I don't throw Şengün's name around lightly, but it's in that world of he's posted up, throwing behind.
He's going to get those comps a lot this year.
Yeah, he throws behind the back dimes to cutters away from the ball when he's posted up on the block. Like I'm sure we're going to have plenty of clips or stuff to talk about, but the playmaking's awesome. The vision's awesome. The anticipation's fantastic. My problem with let me give you a little bit more praise. He's lethal around the basket. Defensively, if you try to go at him at the basket, he's fine. He's great with that. He's like, okay, I'll take care of business. I know I'm big. I know I got my length. And he also understands when he has real estate to quickly turn and dunk on you. Like he's great with that. the physicality is going to be a real legit thing we got to watch this year, because he can get bullied around and he can throw around. And the feet, this is what I want to get at. This is my biggest thing. I was watching him. I was like, I watched Mara forever. Like, I was preparing for this episode. I watched Mara. I was like, okay, all right, fine. Then I get to Clingan, who's got 50 pounds on him, or 40 or 50 pounds on him. And you would not think that Clingan's the one moving way better than the lighter guy. And now obviously Mara's around 7'3", so you could try to argue it that way. I'm just talking about the feet and how quickly he gets going. And the biggest area for me with Mara that raises some concerns is when he gets out on the perimeter. If I was a coach playing against him and I had a talented guard, I would say you pull him out every time on the perimeter and go to work. Because he tries to counter and play off of you when you're on the perimeter, but he takes a while to get moving. And that's okay, because like I just said with Clingan, like, some bigs can make up with their length. But when you're on the perimeter, it's a different world when guys can hit a step back and make it tough for you. And like, sometimes he's baseline and guys will blow right by him because he takes a while to open up and slide. And that's just what I'm saying. But if he can get his body in you and you're in his atmosphere, yes, he's going to be impactful. But I mean, are you thinking Metcalf, he's just going to be a drop guy? Like,
I think you have to exclusively play him and drop.
That's why I almost think him and Bona might work together, because you might just have to kind of play him around the rim and let Bona chase. But as I'm saying, like, I think every opposing team's gonna be like, we're gonna bring that big man out here and make him deal with our guards. That being said, there's a lot of really fun stuff. And some people are going to be in love with him as a top 10 guy early.
Yeah.
No. I'm okay. I'm all right. Good luck. Good luck.
I need to see more scoring versatility.
And he's going to have some really fun stuff. It's
this isn't to say he's a bad player by any means. I know you're not saying that. Neither am I. It's just there are a lot of questions. And the fit with him and Bona is going to be fascinating. Because theoretically they could maybe play together a little bit, but I think it's going to be really clumsy. And if they have plans of doing it in March, they better be doing it a ton in October to get used to that. Because when we look at how UCLA defended when Bona was on the floor last year, it was a lot of really high pressure blitz to pick and roll stuff where Bona's chasing guys all over the court. And I thought he was one of, if not the most impactful and versatile big man defender last season. And I have really high hopes and expectations for him on that, especially on that end coming into the year. It'll be interesting to see how they use Mara, where if they just kind of put him under the hoop and just have him be that low man and switch off of everything and be like, just kind of play that center fielder role. I don't know. But it's going to be tricky because, like you said, if he's the only big on the floor, guards and wings are going to get that switch and drag him out to the top of the key and tell everyone else to clear out constantly. And Mick Cronin's not going to have a fun time with that.
I mean, it's one of my favorite storylines, and I know a lot of people are feeling this way about college basketball this year. Like, how are they going to do this? Like, it's awesome to get the talent, but it's like, how are you going to make this work with Bona and Mara? And it's probably going to be figuring it out as you go with Cronin. I know it's going to be hard to not have Bona on the court for Cronin. Just because of physicality, defense, plays his butt off. But Mara gives you such a unique weapon with his passing and his feel, and it's going to be intriguing talent. Like, I'm saying I'm lower on him. I'm going to have him top 25. It's just one of those, like, there's questions. My overreaction. I have questions that I feel could almost make him not a one and done if those questions don't progress.
Yeah.
Like if he's gets bullied, if he gets the doghouse treatment, we just saw with Peyton Watson. Like if that happens, yeah, sure. Do I think? No, I think he's going to be a one and done because NBA teams love him. He's got too much upside potential, but
something would have to go pretty poorly for him.
It'd have to go really bad. And a lot of other bigs would have to have a very good year that are lower right now.
Yes.
Like, so I think Mara has all the tools that are still going to be very intriguing, but I just personally, I'm not having him top 10 or in my lottery because I think there's some defensive stuff that is going to be important to see how it progresses. I really like him. And if anyone doubts me, you could go fact check the old FIBA episodes on our YouTube channel. And I said to Metcalf, I was loving Mara. I was like, this dude can pass. I love him. So
we were also loving Hugo Gonzalez and, just
Hugo.
Oh my God.
Gosh.
Love.
What was the clip I watched? I was watching someone, and I think it was someone on a break threw I think Mara blocked it, threw it ahead, and someone just threw a bounce pass. It looked like Pistol Pete throwing, and someone dunked it. And then Hugo posterized 3 people off of Mara assists. So yeah, I love Hugo.
I'm also not selling my Lucas Langarita stock.
It might have been Langarita through
the fact that he was playing in U18 and U19 this summer.
Yes.
Love it. But I digress because this is an Aday Mara segment. We've been hesitant or a little too negative, so let's jump into some of the fun stuff. It's all on the offensive end. There's some real scoring creativity and that's in his game, and the ways that they can use him out of the short roll. And he's a really good rim runner, but stuff like this is really showcases some of his footwork and balance and patience around the rim.
And for what I was saying earlier about the heavy feet, offensively, there's stuff like this where you're like, oh my goodness. And when he knows what he wants to do, sometimes he gets the ball in the post, and I think the feet could just get a look because he's just trying to figure out what to do. But then you get plays like this, and you're like, oh my gosh, and I'm one of those two. When you have a guy this big, you almost got to remind yourself because you're not looking at a 6'10" mobile, athletic big man. You're looking at 7'3" and raw and lanky and body still filling out. So, he just some of this stuff is just oh my goodness. There is real legit footwork, impressive upside. It's just, can it be more consistent? And that might be coming from reps and understanding how your body's developing and how good you can actually be on the basketball court, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I love how proactive his movements here are, where on defense it's all reactive and he's not agile enough to kind of adapt quickly enough on that end. But here, he does a great job of keeping the ball high, pivoting through help defenders, really using those long strides to get around his defender on a pretty standard drop step, and just always keeps the ball in the place where the defender has no chance to get it.
Yeah, and it's an impressive finish too. Hit me with more. I love this.
All right, we're good. We got 4 more for the passing, so we're about to have some fun.
We need a minute. This might. Oh gosh, but that's what I'm trying to say. This isn't just he's trying stuff. This is he actually has this type of weaponry.
Right. This is a norm. So gets a post up, quick give and go where he bounces it between his own legs.
The worst floater I've ever seen in my life.
There was half a second left on the shot clock. All right,
I don't care.
Calm down. The guy had to get a shot off. If anything, Mara puts him in a bad shot. I'm kidding.
It's like poured bleach in my eye. I can't watch it. Oh gosh, I'm glad it just nicked the rim. No, but I hear you. But
okay, I'll stop it there.
Give me a sky hook if you realize. I mean, yeah, you got to finish that.
But this is one that kind of makes me more optimistic about the Bona pairing, where he has this really good touch on his entry passes, where top of the key puts it right there for his guy to finish. Little out of bounds play, decent seal. I imagine Bona getting, his stance down at 90 degrees and holding the guy off, probably up around the free throw line, and giving Mara acres of space to throw this pass into, and then finishing at the rim. So stuff like that makes me a little more optimistic of what the Bona Mara offensive pairing could look like.
I mean, Tommy Lloyd at Arizona was a master of, he had Ballo and Tubelis running high low, and they would do it all the time during games. And you'd get to points where I think it was against Indiana. Like, they just couldn't stop them. And now you're going to get almost a better passer in Mara. Oh gosh, guys, did Metcalf die? Metcalf, come back to life. Oh, are you back?
Technical.
Unbelievable pause. Unbelievable pause. He's back. Metcalf's back. We're okay. We stayed live. We're still here. Everyone stayed with us too. Why are you not happier? Come on. Rare moments behind the scenes. Yeah, we got some comments from fans. I wish Bona hadn't gotten hurt. I'd rather just see Mara get more reps. It's okay, Metcalf. Hey, brick by brick. We got Dirty Dancer and Gregory giving us some feedback in the chat. What are you worried about? Oh, you jerk. Why do you keep leaving?
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, you were just ghosting me.
No.
All right, we're back. We're back.
That was unintentional. Okay. So my bad, folks. That'll be a fun edit after this.
It's gonna sound great at the pod. That's the magic of going live right there, folks.
Okay. So you know what? We try new things, and that's how it goes. Just make a quick timestamp. Okay. Fun stuff. Back to it.
Gregory Castillo, this is the last thing before we get back into it, said, it's like watching your dad fail for the first time.
Oh, stick around. There'll be plenty more of that. Okay. So I got a couple more passing. This is just really fun ones to cutters, the ways that they can kind of implement Mara and DHO stuff, run cutters off. Just great bounce pass through traffic. You have the interchange on the weak side that causes the help defender to lift out. Mara sees it. Easy layup.
Yeah, I mean, Spain runs absolute.
Some of their FIBA sets are so much fun.
Yeah. He's gonna be I mean, this is it. Yeah, that's where things get scary. We had to get the children out of the room before we played that. That's why everything fell apart. I would just run. I think Cronin's going to try to go high-low with him and Bona. What I was trying to say before you selfishly left. Tubelis and Omar Ballo at Arizona did that all the time. Tommy Lloyd had that working like a perfection. And I think this is going to be a supercharged version of that with a much better passer in Mara and Bona, who's just a terrifying force around the basket. So you're going to get that. You're going to get, Burks coming over from Turkey. You're going to get a lot of talent. John Veed's going to be there in the backcourt. They have a nasty team this year. It's a nasty team that all of a sudden could get really, really fun. But there's a lot of pieces. And I think Mara is going to be a really fun wild card with this team.
Yeah, and stuff like this, the way the UCLA offense, they're the way the guys that typically move off ball in that offense, Mara's just going to rack up assists, and especially when they send a double, he's got that creativity to go behind his back around the double to an open cutter like this. It's really fun stuff, and they have a lot of flexibility in how they can kind of run their team next year. Any final thoughts on Mara?
No, he's just a big wait and see mode guy for me. I think he's got the tools to be a big riser in this class. Like, I don't know. It's just gonna be really interesting to see how all of those pieces fall into place with UCLA. Like, they have a really fun team now, but how patient Mick Cronin gonna be? Like, who's he really gonna trust early on?
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be fun to watch. I like Mara. I really do. You got any thoughts? No,
it's just going to be a fascinating experiment that I really cannot wait to see.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Alexandre Sarr, the belle of the ball from this last week. Everyone's favorite new prospect, 7'1", 216-pound center, playing for the Perth Wildcats, was previously with OTE, has played a bunch of FIBA stuff with France. He was awesome in those Ignite games. Last week we had a reaction pod where we kind of, is a little more off the cuff, a little more instant reaction type stuff to that first game. Now that we're 2 games into his season, are you more excited, less excited, similar levels of excitement?
I want you made a very crazy comment to me before you started that got my attention, and I understand why you're doing this and I like it, but I want you to tell me why you told me you're cooling down a little bit after you did a rewatch. You said I'm pumping the brakes. Is that how you worded it?
Yeah, so I'm not cooling off because, I moved the guy from 25 to 5. So yeah. So settle down.
You just said like I'm not head over heels.
But coming out of those games, it was like, oh my God, just everything this guy is doing is perfection on the court. And a lot of it was because it's athletic, it's explosive, it's fun, it's energetic. It's improved from what we just saw even in FIBA U19 over, a couple months ago, where he has taken really meaningful steps. So I am still very, very excited. But when I went back through those 2 games against the Ignite, there was a little more of the positional stuff where it's like, okay, you're a step late there. And a lot of it was pick and roll coverage where they kind of made me think, it's like, are you really a center? Like, do I really want you playing the 5? Or are you more of a 4? Are you kind of that Jaren Jackson Jr. type center where you can play center, you can be really effective there, but if we put you next to a more traditional center and you can kind of roam on the perimeter, be more of that defensive playmaker, be that weak side rim protector instead of that primary guy, that primary rock in the middle of the defense, is that where your defensive impact goes from good to holy shit levels?
Yeah, I think I desperately, like, something I dream of every single draft cycle is I desperately am rooting for old school positions to come back to where like we could just have him as a power forward. Like it bugs me that we're at small ball because I want to be able to project guy like, no, this is a power forward. This is a 5. Like this.
I don't think we're in small ball anymore. I think small ball was a little fad, and
no, I'm saying
the
like
bigs have started getting more flexible, more agile, and more skilled.
I think
size still reigns supreme. We're not going to have 2 on the block.
Classic. I think I want the 2 bigs back, and we need to get everyone. I'm not saying every single team has to be like, oh, we're feeding both bigs. I'm just saying like I want it to be where we're feeding guys that can make passes out of the post, and I feel like Sarr is going to be like an awesome asset. If you have a center that can do a lot of stuff and you put Sarr next to him, it's a dream. I think, like hypothetical, they Thunder draft him with him and Chet. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, but I also think, do you want Chet as a full-time 5?
I
like
do.
it's just I would love it. I'm just saying I like Sarr. I understand it. I think you're making some very good points, and I always knew that you were going to bring it back down to earth. I'm really proud of you for that. And
can't have too much fun here. No fun
no,
allowed.
but it's just also too like are we like needing Sarr to be a 3-point shooter? I don't think so. I think he's just got to develop to be a floor spacer, and that's where I'm saying like maybe he is a 4 that you put next to a center, but you don't need him to be a legit floor spacer. I don't know. I'm all over the place, but yeah, went up a bunch on my board too. So
give me a number. I know you hate numbers and all that.
5
or a range,
5 or 6.
Okay.
I got a lot of. He's at 5 right now, but I got to redo everything. I got a lot of stuff I need to fix. So I'm never happy with preseason boards. So I basically make one and then I'm like, okay, so let's start from the top.
Okay, well, I'm surprised it took us this long. That's my fault. But let's play America's favorite game. A little bit of this or that.
You could go with this.
Alex Sarr or Aday Mara?
Sarr.
Sarr or Almansa?
Right now, Sarr.
Sarr or Omaha?
Sarr. I need to watch some more Omaha stuff. I have a feeling that we are all freaking out about FIBA Omaha. And then I remembered everything that we saw at Nike Hoop Summit drink. And I absolutely I was like, he's going to figure it out. But yeah, right now, I'll say Sarr.
Sarr or Bona?
Sarr.
Sarr or Filipowski?
Sarr.
Sarr or...
You can't always do these. You got to give me your answers
then
too.
Be more sporadic.
I will tell you right now. This morning, Sarr, after watching more Clingan, I think I might end up closer to swapping that.
Love it.
And like I said, I have just my range of players and for my big board right now. Like I don't have my final numbers. We don't need to do that for a while. Spoiler alert. I love Clingan. I'm really, really excited. So,
okay,
give me your answers. Give me your answers.
Sarr over everyone but Clingan.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's a good lean right there.
Okay. Do you want?
Oh, here I got one for you. I got a question from you from the fans. Sorry. Okay. Do you have Jacoby over Sarr?
I have Jacoby at 2, so yes.
There
I have
you
Jacoby
go.
over everyone but Justin Edwards.
There you go. Good.
Do you just want my top 5 here?
No. Don't spoil.
Well,
I'm just
asking. I gave 4 out of the 5.
Gregory gave us
who's at 3?
Behind door number 3. Yeah,
it's Ron Holland. Okay, so with Sarr, do you want to dive into the offensive stuff or the defensive first?
Let's do some offense. You can end with a D. Pause.
So I thought this was the best Sarr has shot before. I chose this one just off the catch because I just really like the angle straight from behind. Kind of an aggressive knee bend there, but I think it's really fluid. I really like the arm is tucked in. The follow through looks good. Nothing but net.
I think it looks good for a
7-footer.
For a footer, that looks pretty good to me. That's also going to be like upper body strength. It's going to get a little smoother. It's going to look a little bit better. Like I think it looks very promising for his size.
Yeah, and then again, we have another one, a little pick and pop action. I just love the versatility of how he can kind of be used off the ball, where the previous one we saw him relocate off of a drive and flare out to that corner. And here we're seeing a little DHO pick and pop type action, gets his feet set.
And I mean, I don't think that load up is too bad. Like, I think that's a lot of stuff that will get corrected with reps, age, strength. Like, that just looks nice to me. I know it doesn't look like fast. It kind of looks a little like
it looks a little bit like he's like throwing it.
Yeah, but I think when you slow that down, like that's nice. It's where you want from a developmental perspective.
Yes. It comes out a little flat, but like everything's really fluid. It, the elbows, the knees, everything seems to be where it should be. It just kind of seems like little things that are easily correctable, and just kind of come in time and strength and reps. So I think there's a real chance that he grows into just a solid shooter, not big time floor spacer or anything like that, but 35 to 37% from three on 2.5 attempts a game. Is that unrealistic?
No, I mean, it's a very confident shooter.
Yeah.
Like we might be thinking low right now. I mean, it might turn into an actual weapon. That's the fun part about these raw upside players is all of a sudden things start to fall into place and you're like, okay, now this is part of his game.
And being able to do that kind of opens up stuff to attack off the dribble. He doesn't get the bucket here, but gets the foul. Buzelis does have a short closeout here. I kind of like to see him let that fly. But I think this is a really good example of his athleticism, his balance, his footwork, and his ability to kind of create a little bit of stuff off the dribble.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching this live. My first reaction was like, shoot it. But I also think I like the mindset of, hey, I hit a couple, or I've shown that I can hit this, which should be able to allow me to create a potential better shot. And just showing the versatility. Buzelis can't bite for that first one.
Yeah. He did a really good job up until then.
Yeah. You got him right where you want. Just stay.
And I thought this was pretty easily the best example of Sarr's kind of ability to create off the bounce. In those games, he traveled a lot with that first step where he shuffled his feet. The handle wasn't overly dynamic, but it looked effective enough where on straight line stuff, if he can kind of force those long closeouts, that's where, a simple pump and go can get him to the rim in a blink of an eye because of how athletic he is, how long his strides are. So in time, I think the handle will continue to improve, and they'll just continue to open up more stuff like that one that we just saw where, he crosses over a couple times, an up and under move, and, to draw a foul. Where are you at with the defense?
I'm going to be very fascinated. The stuff he flashed, I was like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't just like, I'm sure, I'm interested to see the plays that you're saying, like, oh, this is what I rewatched. So there's going to be rewatchables. Like we can always go back and be like, okay, this is fine tuned like this. But there was just too many sequences of reading the whole play before it happened, like off the ball, where I was like, my goodness, Youngblood is really feeling himself. Like, that's where I'm like, okay, you pair that, the understanding of the game's cooking right now is developing. You paired that with his high motor, which we already knew he had from FIBA play over the years. Like, you pair that together, and that's where it's getting dangerous. So I'm still a fan, but what about you? Hit me with it.
Yeah, I thought the off-ball awareness, rotation, recognition, timing, all that stuff looked so much better than it previously did. And by previously, I mean like FIBA kind of stuff, where that was more reactive, and this time he was anticipating stuff and he was being proactive about his positioning, and all that stuff. Is mainly just the pick and roll defense that kind of raised some red flags for me. But again, that goes back to is he really a 5? This one I thought was one of the most impressive defensive clips of the night, where initially almost jumps the passing lane, recovers, switches onto Holland, moves his feet like a wing, locks him up, and ends up forcing the deflection.
I see shooting guards that can't do that.
Yeah.
Or don't do that. But I'm just saying, like, that was every single. The funniest part is we were watching that on the stream, and I was like, that is going to be smothering the timeline for draft fans right now. And it was. You just open up Twitter, and it was just all over the place. But high motor, get all over the play. He's just everywhere in this play. And then Holland's trying to take him. Stop. Keep sliding his feet. Stop. Like, it's just great job of opening up the hips too, letting them get into you, keeping your hands out so you don't get called for a reach foul. Like, that's just good fundamentals and understanding. Like, open up. Good. It's just fantastic.
And absorbing the contact and being physical. It's reminiscent of, kind of how we saw Jabari Smith defend at Auburn, where he's this super tall, super long dude, but moving his feet and, incredibly well. That's a nightmare to deal with. And Ron Holland is like, just please get me out of this sequence because I am not having fun.
Yeah, Holland was blown by everyone.
He was. And he blew by Sarr earlier too.
Yeah, of course. But that's where you just see the potential right there. And I'm a sucker for when guys start clapping right after when they go down, because it just shows they're pumped up. They're proud. They're like, all right, good sequence by me.
Yeah. This one, I think we see a really good kind of showcase of his defensive stuff off ball and then how he transitions that into on ball. So initially he ends up getting switched on to London Johnson here, rotates up to the top of the key. Buzelis has a good cut. Sarr collapses down on them. Perfect block. Stays vertical. Blocks the second shot by Buzelis.
You got to be all in on this play. I mean, right here, you got to commit. Like, okay, if I'm going, I better be making a play. And I just love the block and to stay with it and realize, like, okay, just because I blocked it, the play's not over. Mm-hmm. It's just awesome. It's just a very fun read. And the fact that he also just gets it to get out in transition is just the icing on top of the cake. So I love the whole play because you just see how much he was all over the place. Like, he starts up in the opposite wing. He comes over to basically this wing, and then he collapses down to make a block at the rim. Like, he's just everywhere.
And the fact that he doesn't jump on that fake right there and stays grounded and waits for Buzelis to actually take the shot before he swats it away, it just shows a maturing to his game that wasn't there, not that long ago. It's really, really impressive, astronomical strides that he's taking. A
potential shot blocker, the scariest thing to try to teach them is that they don't have to try to block every shot. So the fact that you can understand that and showcase that is just scary.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to get into a couple where I was like, didn't love that. This one especially is going to induce a lot of eye rolls from the rest of you because it's an incredible block and it's just a testament to his freakish athletic skills. So this ends up being an awesome play for him. It's just kind of the process in which he gets there that I don't love, where as Almanza rolls here, I think Sarr's just way too upright, square stance, really opens up that lane for that pocket pass that Almanza should be finishing. But Sarr has the freakish athletic tools where he's able to recover and block this dunk.
Yeah, I understand. It's good that you pointed this out. I understand where you're at. This is a very good coaching clip for like someone to be like, hey, you did an unbelievable job here. We'd like to see you get down a little lower. Because also he starts to get a little bit of backpedal right there, in which a quicker guard could also have just tried to hit him with an in and out and got him to bite towards the middle and then gone up for a right layup. Like, you just want to stay a little lower and almost like open your hips, if you want to put it that way. But given everything we just said, it makes that play even more impressive to slow it down and kind of analyze like, oh, he was a little all over the place. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, just that his teammates also not doing him any favors on the weak side by not making that rotation either. But yeah, I know I'm aggressively nitpicking here. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, so instead you have SGA and Chet in that play instead. I feel like that's ending up in a bucket. But this is really impressive. As of, mid-September, that inefficiency from Sarr doesn't matter because he does have those athletic tools that really shine. This one I think was a little more of an issue, and it's just kind of the positioning in the pick and roll. I think some of it does have to do with the scheme because they were playing him at the level quite a bit, but he's really slow to react here and kind of provide any help, and just has a lazy swipe at the ball.
Yeah, that's a tough one. This is the one of the sequences where I'm just like, because you're kind of banking on the fact like Usher should not be letting Holland get down here so fast. And if Sarr, and you could talk this out with me, if Sarr, I feel like collapses too low to go all in, then like a smart player would just dump it off for Almanza for a jam. But what are you thinking? Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, my issue is that Holland denies the screen pretty early because Sarr's right at the level, but then as Holland kind of snakes back, Sarr doesn't make any attempt to get back rim side of Almanza here, and he just kind of lingers on his hip and is basically out of the play. So by the time that Holland crosses up Usher, he's already downhill. He's fast enough, especially in short spaces where it's so hard to keep him from getting downhill, that Sarr has to be back rim side of Almanza in time to kind of prevent, or at least make that snake dribble a little more difficult, because that's a pretty big driving lane that he just went through.
Yeah, it should be a step up, hand up right here, and then a quick slide down.
And it was one of the rare easy plays that we saw from him.
But your point is right on, though, because the coast mode right there opens up that window.
Yeah.
To attack from Holland. And it's a good job of Holland to stay low and stuff, but that's where Sarr's got to get hand up, get quickly back. So it's almost like he's going into a wall.
Yeah. So, and it was a really nice play by Holland too. So I know I'm nitpicking on some of that stuff, but on the rewatch, it's just some of the positioning in the pick and roll where he really, the way he positioned his body really opened up a lot of opportunities for pocket passes. That's stuff that will come in time. That's stuff that coaches dream about. They're like, oh my God, yes, let me show you how to position yourself. And I think given what the growth we've seen from him in the last calendar year, let alone couple months, I expect it to get better. And I do think it's stuff that he can build on. They aren't damning indictments of his game or anything. It's just, let's sharpen up some of the rough edges here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a glowing endorsement of what he's been working on and the potential that we saw in that game. And now we have to almost say thank you to Alex Sarr for getting the buzz going a little bit. Now fans are like, whoa, hey, hold on a sec. This class might be a little cool. And it's like, yeah, every class is cool. But I'm excited to watch him. We've had a couple guys bring up in the chat, like the NBL Blitz is coming up very soon. So ton of talent in the NBL this year. It's going to be awesome to watch, especially for sickos like me up at 4 a.m. Like, I'm going to be like, great, thank you. There's new film on. So I'm excited for this class. I like all these guys that we just talked about. I thought this was a fun trio to break down with you. And that's all I got, Metcalf. I mean,
well, I got one last thing. We teased it last week.
Yes.
But we have some decisions to make on the green room. So currently only member is Jacoby Walter. Last week we put Alexandre Sarr and Ron Holland in yellow. Before we get to them, do you want to invite or put in yellow Donovan Clingan or Aday Mara?
I would like to vote either one or two of last week's yellow.
You want to vote on them first?
Yeah, and then I want to move Clingan into the yellow. No, my problem is, do we need to have a rule of only one
per
addition
week?
To, like, we can't have an episode of adding two, because then we're just going to get, I mean, we could just this year start it early and remove people, but
the exclusivity kind of goes away if we're admitting people too fast. Okay.
No, well, I feel we could also just do it and pause it a little bit. Okay, so here's
I like that. Let's only do
one.
Only one a week. So first, do you want to put Clingan in yellow?
Yeah, I want to put Clingan in line. Clingan's in line. And he's not going to be in line for long because he's bigger than everyone in the building. So if bouncers are like, we have to let him in because he's bigger than all of us. So he's not going to be in line for long. I think I got to put Holland in.
Ooh, okay. Over Sarr.
Oh, man. They're both going to be in.
Correct.
Let's be realistic here.
Correct.
But Holland, I would have had as like, maybe he's in line. And then he just showcased like every evaluator had Holland high up on their boards going into the exhibition, the fall invitational. And now everyone's like, yeah, that's why I had a Holland early. So I feel good about him. I feel like he's proven that he's going to be a great asset for the green room. But you talk to me. What are you thinking?
I think the vibes around Sarr are just undeniable right now.
But do we risk putting him in and then the vibes slow down and then we have to kick him? Yeah, okay, we could do that. That makes some sense. We're going to be ruthless this year. We're going to probably bounce people.
Oh, God, yeah.
Also, Alexander sounds like a we
get a little bit of that French flavor in the club.
Yeah, French, French wine. Yeah, well, we got to have some French guys. We had Wemby last year.
Yeah.
International guys, keeping up with foreign relations.
I think the hype, the vibes around him right now are just so high that the place would go crazy once he enters.
Okay, so let's do Sarr. I'm in for Sarr. But if we put Sarr in and we don't put Holland in, is Holland still in line?
Yep.
Okay, so we got Holland and Donovan are in line. Okay,
Holland and Clingan are waiting in line. Jacoby Walter and Alexandre Sarr. Welcome to the green room.
Yeah. Everyone's, we had someone bring up that we're going to invite Njinko one day. Yes, we've been talking plenty about Melvin. I'm very excited about him as a prospect. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of international flavor.
Just wait until we get to Zachary Perrin.
Sheesh. Yeah, I feel good about that. So Sarr, and everyone's going to be buzzing if we're like, hey, Alex Sarr. Alex Sarr is at the club.
Yeah.
Everyone will be like, oh my gosh.
He's the
hottest thing since, we got to talk about it. So I'm good with that. Okay. That's a good one. So we got two, Jacoby and Mr. Sarr. A shooting star. Gosh.
Oh, God.
He makes so many star jokes this year.
On that note, I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at tmetcalf11. He is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. All of our stuff is at NoCeilingsNBA.com. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave a review and a 5-star rating. Till next time. See ya.